Welcome everyone to another video. My name is Hago, aka Hags, and today I want to show you what to do at a property viewing. This is so important, whether it's for an investment property, a property to go and live in, whatever the situation is. You really need to make sure you narrow down all these things I talk about today and show you around my property about certain things to look for specifically to make sure you don't buy a property that ends up costing an arm and a leg to do after you purchased it and realize, I've got to do that, I've got to do this, and it goes on and on from there. The bathroom's more just look at the cosmetics. Just see, make sure everything aligns to what you want. I generally love to look at the corners of every single wall, even just walking in as well, just looking above every single wall, because if you start seeing some cracks, you can investigate that a lot further. And in the general fittings like the light switch, make sure they're all in, make sure they're all working. Which one is this one? There we go. So just making sure every little detail works perfectly fine. First reception room here, again, I would look specifically at the chimney because they can cost a fortune to either get rid of, or if there is a problem, such as a leak, you'll have to go all the way onto the roof and hope there isn't anything major where the whole roof needs replacing, but we'll speak about that a bit later. But for now, just patting your hand all across, just making sure that there's no wet patches anywhere. Of course, this one doesn't have it, but generally you'll see on every corner a little wet patch if there was anything, but generally it should be fine other than that. And going on into sort of the living space, you can see straight across the fuse box. Keep an eye on this just to see the date it was last serviced. So here we go. Next recommended date of inspection is 2031. So you can tell this is brand new and everything should be working fine. And now going on to here, the boiler. This can be a costly one. So here, of course, I've got a brand new boiler, but always ask when the last service was done on a boiler, even the electrics as well, when they were last checked. Make sure they're up to standards because a heating system can cost a fortune. And for me personally as an investor, I don't mind if there isn't that. I don't mind if there's a crack, but I need to make sure I know about it so I can factor it in to my costs. And then just radiators in general. I mean, you can see in this room, there's one there. There's a very large one there. Don't ask me why we put a large one, but there is. And another big factor you want to check is the floorboards. So as you're walking around, just go to every corner. So I'll just start walking into this room, for example, and I'll go all the way to the corner here, and then to the other corner, and so on. Reason being is because if there's some dip in a certain room, or maybe more than one, you could look at a costly fee and there could be problems with the foundations of the house. So that is a massive one to look out for. That's mainly for the downstairs. The upstairs, you shouldn't have too much of a problem. But again, just do the same thing upstairs as well, just to make sure everything is okay. So here we are in the bedrooms. What I like to do in each bedroom, if I was an investor, again, I don't care about this stuff. If I'm buying this because it's my house, I want to see that there's sockets on practically every wall. They're not also touching the floor as well. Sometimes they're in this sort of position and they're very low, and that's when you know they might need a rewire in the full house. My huge thing I look for as an investor in particular is any cracks, because every corner, if there's a crack, could cause a massive issue. For example, leaks, it could be problems with the roof, and it could be endless. And again, with the roof, it's not cheap to replace. Another big one, windows. When I bought this house, every window was single glazed. I had to go and replace them. As you can see here, I've had to replace both windows. This is not cheap. It's not hard to spot a single glazed to a double glazed window. Sometimes, if a house has single glazed windows all around the house, you want to check from the outside, which we'll go to now, and I'll tell you a reason why. Well, here, if this window was single glazed, and sometimes these windows have been sat there for a very long time, you might start seeing zigzag cracks. This doesn't necessarily mean it's an issue with the structure. It's majority of the time an issue with the window. and the window's just purely just sagging down. You'll see zigzag lines in between them. I'll put a photo in front of what roughly you would see, and then that's when you know majority of the time it's the window and not structurally. If however you start seeing zigzag lines come from the ground up, then I'd be a little concerned, because that can be a huge factor in the foundations of the house. Not only that, you would see from the inside majority of the time cracks from the inside, which has caused the house to start dropping down basically from that particular point, and you might see it around the rest of the property. So that's a red flag you want to look out for. Generally what I like to look for is the tiles. On majority of the tiles on, maybe the odd one or two has been taken off, but it's not the end of the world. That's easy to replace. Guttering as well. You can tell if there's a leak because you would see patches of wetness just dropping down. But besides that, if you are wary, just get a structural engineer to come in. They cost roughly around 600, 700, maybe more. I mean, I know someone who can give me a good price. They come and be honest with me, and it makes my life a lot easier rather than me having to go around doing all the checks, and also it's reported as well. So it's also a negotiation tactic, I'll be honest with you, if it gets down to it. But generally, just do all those checks that I've just said, and it'll make your life a lot easier when you do purchase the property. But besides that, if you have any questions about viewing a property, let me know down below. But I've been Hago, aka Hags. Don't forget the name. I'll catch you in the next video.